Back at the blind spot on our usual bullshit. And Train. So interesting map from Cloud9. Gets the favorable CT side start. Proceeds to just choke away a lead.
I thought it was done when I saw Cloud9 starting on the CT side. I didn't think Envy was going to have a chance on that T side. I can't believe they wrecked it that bad. That was crazy. It was just weird because Cloud9 had that double up set up so many rounds. They managed to save it like 6 times despite losing so much, and they still could never get it to work.
I thought it was cool watching someone like Moose, just coming into the team. He's maybe got the least amount of stuff riding on whether or not this actually works out well or not, because he's just kind of here, and he seemed to be going all in on some of these fights. I thought that was really impressive.
Yeah, the pressure. I mean, all the way starting from the very first map on Dust 2, his pressure in middle, not allowing Cloud9 to freely rotate, coming all the way to this train. It seems like he's got some W religion in his blood, for sure.
Good.
Why not? I want people who aren't pussies don't just sit back like, I'm losing slowly. Really slow though. It's garbage.
So, starting with Dust 2 here, definitely a surprising result, given that this was Cloud9's map pick, and didn't really go their way.
No, this was one of the maps, right, where we had the just incredible amount of deagle kills coming out from Calyx that turns him around. Maybe shouldn't have been working out of the way. And then Nifty, he was just looking so confident with that AWP. It was great to see. I actually just love watching Nifty go to work with this weapon. I thought that those were some of the big reasons why it worked out so well.
I think this was a cool series because it was one of the first series where it actually felt like Mihu and Calyx were starting to get comfortable in this team. Like when those two players were brought into Envy, I was kind of just like, these are really like cool, interesting pickups on paper, but you never really know how it's going to transition when you bring in 2 foreign players in that fashion. And I think now, Mihu I didn't think would be as big of a problem. I thought Calyx would be the one, but he was a beast today. So both of those guys seem to be coming into their own. And now you start to see that Envy, there's kind of a plan to how this team is going to operate, which is very cool.
Well, in Flashpoint, this is the first time that we've actually been able to see them with their complete roster. And in fact, in the losers interview I did with Nifty in the first phase, he did say how important Moose was to this overall roster and the way that they played the game. So now that they've got everything in place, they're actually able to pick up a couple of maps, even though they did look abysmal on Overpass.
Yeah, which was surprising, especially because just the way that Dust 2 was surprising that Cloud9 got demolished. Overpass being Envy's pick and then coming out flat on that T side. But that can kind of happen on maps, and I expected it to happen on Train. A map like Overpass as well, that's like super tactical. I just figured that would be very, very weird for the T sides of these teams, but I didn't expect it to be that weird.
That's the only thing going forwards. There's surely no way Envy's going to opt in Overpass again after what we've seen against them, IBR, and now Cloud9. Like these aren't even like blockbuster teams necessarily.
I don't even know what it is, but the Overpass as a map just seems like every team, even like the professional top 10 teams, are just really, really hating Overpass at the moment. It's probably the map that I see played the least these days at the top events. So it's just not a map that's getting a whole lot of love.
All right, well, to discuss their performance on Overpass and hopefully some happier things, we do have Nifty from Envy on the phone right now. Oh, even video. Wow. Holy shit.
Yeah.
You did your hair before.
I got the face cam just for you guys.
Thank you so much.
Right, Nifty obviously was the right move to cut that Sonic guy's garbage.
Nah, look. Cloud9, I just knew it was going to be a fun game. I knew it was going to be a little bit back and forth. The interesting thing is, and this is why I said yesterday, I said that I really wonder what's going to happen when they're not hitting, because today they weren't hitting so well. And they lost to us, and we were in a scramble sometimes. We weren't even a full team, connected team playing well as a team in some scenarios. So that was a case of where they weren't hitting, but it was a fun game.
So you talked to me in your losers interview about how important Moose is. First off, where is Moose right now, just so we know?
So Moose is in Ottawa.
Okay, great.
He's Canadian. So
yeah. We knew he was either in Dallas or in Canada somewhere. But thank you. So how much of a difference has it made to have Moose back now on your team?
Oh, it's a big deal, people are just more comfortable in general. There's just this thing, like when you're playing on a team, you need to feel comfortable in your teammates. You need to feel confident in your teammates as well. And even though Legia is such a great teammate, very good communication, he's a great coach, you still will believe more in your starting roster. That's just obvious, right? So, I mean, Moose is a big deal for us. He's very good with communication. He's very good at staying calm, and sometimes he can be a clutch player for us.
I guess I have a two-part question. Firstly, did that overpass?
That's 2 questions.
The overpass map. All right. Two questions. First question: did that overpass map? Did you have a solid game plan and it just didn't come to fruition? And secondly, the Mihu towards playground party area, it seemed like a deja vu versus MIBR. He just wasn't able to get past those Molotovs. He wasn't able to put on any pressure. If you notice, he had 27 ADR after that first half. What was your game plan going in to get Mihu involved?
Okay, Christine, very good question as always. Listen, so I'll tell you guys the truth. With Overpass, we had a collision of game plans. So we started the half and we kind of planned out like, okay, if we lose pistol, we will do this first gun round. If we win pistol, we would do this first gun round. But we kind of had separate ideas of what we wanted to run, first, second gun round kind of stuff. So we had a little bit of collision and we ended up losing the pistol, which didn't help. And then the first gun round call, I think, was just wrong in the first place. I think we ended A a little bit too much for us, which was my fault, and that's fine. I did that to the guys. But as soon as we started going B, it looked like we had more of a chance. But really, our overpass is actually honestly really good, but we just had a mixed game plan, and if I just would have done one thing differently, we would have had a much better T side, and I think it would have been a much more entertaining game for people to watch.
What was the second question again?
That wasn't.
I thought, did I not have 2 questions?
Yeah, but I don't think he answered the second part.
Oh yeah, the Mishu at Playground.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I don't even remember the MIBR game, honestly.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's just he kind of plays into all of our game plans as well, right? He has his own plan of how he wants to play when we're doing defaults where it's him alone at Playground. And he's usually very, very good at it. But like I said, there was just stress all around, and we had trouble relaxing because we're still kind of a new team in the sense of being able to hone our focus and relax when we're playing officials. You know, I kind of kept saying, like, our practice the last couple of days has been insanely good. We've been playing so good versus Furia, MIBR, 100 Thieves, all these teams, and we were very good at that. I was like, guys, just like remember practice. You know, let's just play. Like, let's lower the intensity a little bit because it's faulting our decision making, and we need to focus a little bit more. So it was tough to get people back on track. That's why we just gave it our best shot on CD side, and well, it was a wrap after a few rounds.
I've got a bit of a question.
I can't hear you.
Is your mic turned on?
Oh, maybe not. There we go. I'll steal this one. I was wondering. We were noticing there are a bunch of rounds where you guys got some really well timed pop flashes off that were just, you know, basic setups that probably most teams could do, but they seem to be really well timed. Is that from studying a lot of how Cloud9 play, or is it just down to sort of you know, intuition and timing? Because a bunch of them seem to be working out really well and seem to be at a sort of surface level. But again, if they're timed right, you know, we saw the effect of it in the game. That was cool.
Yeah, so it's funny because flashes are something that we just talk about a lot in our team. Like, we could just be hanging out outside and we're talking about CS and we talk about flashes. We talk about how important they are and how undervalued and underused they are in the right way. And that's something that each and every person on our team strives to be better at every single time that we play Counter-Strike. We always try to throw the best flashes possible for each other so that they can be as effective as possible.
Awesome. Are you enjoying that beer, Jason?
I just want everyone to know that
question?
it was actually mic user error on Anders' part.
What have I done?
Exactly. What did you do?
I turned it off and turned it back on.
All right. So you guys are in a tough situation because you finished 4th in your group in Phase 1, which means that you kind of need to make it into the finals here in Phase 2 to have a shot at the playoffs. You're going to be going up against Havu next in this group. What do you think your odds are of winning this and guaranteeing yourself a top 2 spot?
Well, we've never played against Havu before. Obviously, there's plenty of games for us to watch and kind of prepare for. But at the same time, I think it's going to be more of our game. We kind of really have to focus on ourselves and make sure that we are always reinforcing what we practice and how we play. And we're not thinking too much about how they've been playing this game against Copenhagen Flames. Here's how they played in Phase 1. You know, let's not do so much of that. Let's just find a couple of things that will help us be more ready than not having preparation at all. So yeah, it's just going to be mostly sticking to our game, and we're going to try to go for a 2-0, of course. So best of luck to Havu. I wish I could be at the blind spot with you guys.
Does anybody have any really cool sweatpants or anything like that? Anders
Any merch at all, actually.
What'd you say? I missed the question.
Do you have any sweatpants for Anders? Does Envy have any sweatpants available?
No, do you personally have any sweatpants
game-worn
that you've worn for Anders?
Maybe some underwear with Hastro's face on it.
It's getting elaborate.
Well, now that we're talking about it, I'm glad that we are. We're definitely going to get something in the making, so, you know, it'll be on your way.
Perfect.
Obviously, just put the elasticated waist in case he goes back to his old habits. You never know. Just saying, you never know. You've done well so far, but it's like that first map. Never assume things. Never assume it's over.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I feel like this conversation has devolved, Nifty, so we won't take up any more of your time. Congrats on the win. Good luck in your next match versus Havu. Hopefully, we'll be doing this again next time.
Congrats, Noah.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, I'll talk to you next time.
I mean, I'd hope not, since that would mean he'd have won the group. So, no, technically.
All he has to do is win the winners bracket match versus Havu. We might talk to him again.
Okay. I'd just still rather that didn't happen, though.
You just want Havu to win?
Envy's not a good team. That's the problem. Like unfortunately, they should have made this a really competitive game against Cloud9. It should have been a good match, but I think Cloud9 actually played pretty badly in this one overall. So I can't give too much props to Envy, although individually some of them look good.
Look, I'm hoping they beat Havu because I want to see the rematch of Cloud9 versus Envy in the finals.
Now you're just dreaming. Calm down.
They already won a group, Moses.
Yeah, dreaming. Like I said, I stand by everything.
Nancy.
So who is going to win this group then?
I actually think there's a good chance they could take down Havu. I think I've been watching a fair few of the Havu games, and I just think there's a lot of what they do that will be more and more and more readable as the course of, as we just go on. They're doing a bunch of things, especially on the CT sides, that I think are going to be easy to pick up if you start looking at their demos. So I'd be worried about that if I was Havu, at least.
I think Havu's big problem is I think tactically they're going to be fine. I think it's just the skill level when they face off against a team like Envy or a team like Cloud9. I do actually agree that we're going to get that rematch of Cloud9. And yeah, I know I gave you some shit. I just like
Fuck you.
All of a sudden, Jason.
I used my brain and retracted my statement.
No, but I actually disagree with Duncan though. I actually do think Envy's a better team than Cloud9. I still am not sold on this Cloud9 team. I don't know what their necessary win conditions
and
are.
I'll take it back and direct Duncan again.
Yeah, wait a second. It's one thing if you don't think Cloud9's good. You're saying that Envy is a better team than Cloud9. So go ahead and predict them to finish ahead of Cloud9 in this group, big boy.
They will. That's what I thought I just did that.
Look at the camera and
Didn't
say
I
it.
just say?
Look at the camera and say it.
Envy's going to beat Cloud9 wherever they face off again in this group.
Will they win the major?
No, they won't.
You can't just go from 0 to 1,000. It's not going to fall in that easy, is
That
it?
escalated.
Yeah, you know what? Hell, they are winning the major.
My first question would be, what major would be my first question?
Exactly. Well, who knows what's going to happen 6 months from now? No, I think Envy's in a great position to win this group. I think they're a better team than Cloud9, and I think as time goes on, I think they're going to become better than they are at this point, and I don't see Cloud9 with that same rate of improvement at this point.
Fair enough. Well, we're going to take a quick break before we start talking about some of our other matches. Perhaps we'll talk a little bit about Copenhagen Flames and Havu and also our games tomorrow. So we'll see you in a couple. I've decided that we're not going to talk about Copenhagen Flames versus Havu and talk about something much more interesting, which is measuring dig. So how does dig measure up in our dig measuring contest group? They have a very interesting match. I'm very intrigued by the Gen G match, given what we've already seen.
You should be, but this is a limp dig matchup. This is, like, these two teams were probably the most disappointing teams in Phase 1.
The most flaccid.
Yeah, they're just like, you're not going anywhere with that. You're not able to accomplish anything. Like, Gen G was the team that I had picked that said, I think they're going to win the entire Flashpoint opening tournament series, and they looked awful.
done.
Well,
yeah,
luckily,
I know. They looked so bad, and I was like, God damn.
Luckily in gaming, we have our new erectile dysfunction drug, Valorant, to help us.
Well, that's the people whose digs don't work whatsoever. So they're willing to try any experimental bullshit on the market, you know, even stuff that comes from China.
Jesus.
Digs out for Harambe.
Well,
That's how it started.
Shout out Config.
That's how we collectively buried our chances. Anyway, we will talk about Valorant, I think, in a bit. But back to the subject at hand, because I've decided we're going to. Anyway, back to the subject at hand. Gen G, super disappointing.
Yeah. On a serious note, I actually do think that should be a very fun matchup. It's just a question of, are we going to get the dig and are we going to get the Gen G that look like they actually want to play the game of Counter-Strike?
Anytime you want it, baby.
I maybe wouldn't have phrased
really can't afford it. You can't avoid
wouldn't have
these
maybe
jokes.
phrased it that way, Jason. But anyway, continue your point.
No, I just, like, they both look so uninterested in the game of Counter-Strike the last time I saw them play. Like, that dig game and the Gen G game was just
It's
atrocious.
disgusting, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't even want to think about it. So, it depends on if they're going to show up this week and actually look like they're competing for a chance to win and move on in this.
What kind of dig would you like to see this weekend?
No, go on, Duncan.
What-
You're just going to sit back there and make dig jokes all day long.
I thought that was the point of this segment. You know, I thought the point of this segment was we just sidetrack your legitimate analysis by constantly challenging for
In some ways, he snuck that dig right into your blind spot. And
Oh, there we go.
And
I went in dry. I can tell you.
Now just
spilled beer on my dig.
All right. How do you think this group is going to shake out? Louder.
I also have to agree. I'm very.
You always have to agree. Disagree.
I
Stop sitting on
agree
the
with
fence.
Dig being underwhelming. It's all about Guardian. You know, Thor knows I've had high hopes for Guardian for quite some time.
It's been a rough couple of years for you,
It has
hasn't
been a
it?
really,
Jesus.
really rough couple of years, and I really was hopeful that Guardian would show up here on his last leg. He's got nothing to lose. The pressure's not on him. He's got every excuse in the book. They're not even speaking his language, you know? So he can afford to get out there, take some more risks, make some more
wasn't laughing at
mistakes.
you. Keep going.
And he's not. You're laughing at me right now, aren't you?
Yeah, I looked at him, unfortunately. I made a mistake in doing that. You know,
But he
it
hasn't
can
been.
happen.
He really hasn't been. Guardian's been, he's been doing his job. He's been, but he hasn't been overperforming. And I guess I just wanted to see him pop off.
That's the problem. He's in dig. I don't want him on his last leg. I want him on his third leg, just slapping that motherfucker down and aiming that shit. Getting everyone in the building. Everyone be dropping. It's hot or something. I don't know. That's a reference for the 2000s.
Anders, please.
What's going on here?
Is real amateur hour.
It was all done. I couldn't hold it anymore. It just went all over the place. I don't know what.
It's got something of a mess on his hands here.
They were bringing up old school Guardian, and I just, that got me excited. So
Overflowing.
I've never poured a beer ever before, so I don't know how this works. I'll be honest. There we go.
That's a tragedy.
Use those lips.
What's happening? Anders.
All right, we've completely derailed.
Why are we doing the show again?
Yeah, this is all your faults. All these dig jokes.
Yeah, I do admit to starting it, but I have not
Yeah,
perpetuated
Monty's
it.
fault.
I was making tasteless Valorant jokes, okay? Speaking of Valorant, who is the player most likely to quit Counter-Strike in Flashpoint and become a Valorant pro due to their own ineffectiveness in Counter-Strike right
I've
now?
got this one. We just interviewed him. It's nifty. What will happen is when Envy doesn't win Flashpoint, Astro will go, well, for some inexplicable reason, Nifty, I have to keep paying you to be a professional video game player, so Valorant now? And it'll be like, well, you tried Call of Duty, you tried CS, third time's the charm. And he'll change his hair red or something and be like, hey, what up, fellow kids? I like this Valorant game.
Yeah, makes sense.
Whatever.
I'm excited for Valorant.
That's not the question I asked.
I'm trying to think
To be
of.
fair, there's a lot of NA pros could play that game because it actually has a wall hack built into the game. You don't have to buy it and then inject it. It's already got it in the game. So
I think, I mean,
Sabrosa, maybe?
Oh no.
Oh dear.
Actually, that was aimbot, to be fair. I apologise, Sabrosa. I would never imply you use a wall hack. Just that new aiming technique that you learned on stream that time. Can you show me how that's done again? Yeah, exactly, I'll bet. Never did it again, of course, after that. Goodbye.
Oh man.
No one else wants to jump in on that one.
I'm not touching. No. We just let you just twisted the wind
We
there for
return
as long as
to
you can.
jokes at least. Go back.
How long will he keep going? That's the question.
I think if we want to talk about this honestly, I think the first players that we'll see evacuate Counter-Strike for Valorant, if it happens, would be the semi-pro teams. Would be like the lower levels that would make the transition.
Steel? I say Steel.
He did it with Overwatch.
Yep. Well,
No.
trust me, I saw that.
I would hope Steel. I mean, I get it if he does, but I like Steel in Counter-Strike, and that's entirely selfish because you can't actually make too much of a living off of it. But he would make sense for Valorant. But he's always been so dedicated to CS. I find it very admirable that through everything he's still this dedicated. Like he's more dedicated than like 50% of the pros that we know.
Yeah, it's kind of
It's
ridiculous.
actually sad to see that whole situation with him. But I mean, if he does have an opportunity in Valorant, I would think that could be
Swag's
a
already made the
happy
jump.
ending.
Swag's already with your boys,
Yeah.
KT.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame him either. I mean, it would make sense, right?
Who's the first caster?
Henry G, obviously.
Henry G
I think he's making it
is-
pretty obvious at this point in time.
Been angling for that.
Mega shill.
No, I have confidence. Henry's gonna stick around.
That,
I'm the only one, I guess.
I
Shout
would-
out to you, Henry. I fucking love you, brother.
let's just say I don't share that level of confidence. But yeah, first cat. I mean, everybody is the answer, right?
Yeah, maybe,
Except for you.
except for me.
I've heard, the hilarious thing is as many stories of Valorant pros that pros that I've heard so many people behind the scenes just telling me, oh yeah, I'm gonna go immediately. I'm like, you don't even know what the game looks like.
No, that's what's so. I mean, that's the part I don't understand about this. People are so willing to make deep predictions about a game that maybe they haven't even tried or don't even know what the final look of it is going to be. I don't know why people are so into that. Like, you just see, even if you get the right prediction, no one will remember on Twitter anyway. So what's the point?
Christine's already bought in. She said it. So
Sign me up.
I hope Valorant does really, really well. I hope it's very cool. I know I've talked to a bunch of the old school like 1.6 players, Duncan, that we used to know from way back when, who have had access to the game, and they've mentioned that it is the first game that they've played in like 15 to 20 years that has grabbed them the way that Counter-Strike did back back in like 2000. So they've all talked great things about it, and not a single one of them has complained about the abilities. Not a single one has complained about them being overpowered. As silly as they look in some of the videos, I've only heard positive things about it.
So the thing about this that I want to point out is like, everything that I've heard in my personal conversations is people saying that the game is fun. And the other thing that's very interesting, when I actually look at the footage that Riot's released, I think they've done a very bad job of presenting the game.
Because they make it look super gimmicky.
Yeah, they make it look super gimmicky, but everybody is telling me, no, it's not like that, which makes me wonder why the fuck Riot is presenting it that way. But I've heard it's much more interesting. And like, honestly, one of the things that has really grabbed me is that you have this mechanic on ults that it's charged by kills, which I'm excited about because there's two things here. It's a shared economy game, which means that you can always just chuck weapons to your star player, and the more frags your star player gets, the more ults you get. So theoretically, I like games where you can have larger than life stars, where you can really like push that envelope and build those star players up. Because I think, for example, the NBA has done a great job of doing that and has a game where you can actually have that kind of outsized impact. And I think that is what is exciting to me about this game.
I mean, I just think, one of the developers on that team, Sal, right, is an old 1.6 pro. You helped obviously, reinvent.
And he was
maps
fucking
like Nuke,
good.
Cash. There's like, I've had many conversations with Sal after events about, just the core mechanics of Counter-Strike. So I would it's hard to know how much, weight he's going to have in the total development process. But the fact that he's on the team actually.
I mean, he's been there for like 4 or 5 years.
He's been there for a long time, yeah. So the fact that he's even on the team to sort of lend his input and push things in another direction, that would give me a lot of confidence that this game won't just turn out as a gimmicky, spells all over the place kind of game. I mean, again, I don't know how much he's been doing. I don't know what his weight is in the overall development team, but that gives me a lot of confidence anyway. Sal's very, very...
Sal's legit.
Yeah,
he's a
cool
good
guy.
dude.
So you're excited about it. Why?
I I mean, I guess I played Overwatch, Rainbow Six, Fortnite. I played all the FPS games. Yeah, I'm pretty nerdy. I love all those games, so I'm excited about it.
She even played the Marshmallow concert in Fortnite.
I
She was
did.
telling us about that earlier. Apparently, she set her alarm, woke up, was in the crowd. Yeah, Fortnite, this is the future. Ninja, I love you, Ninja. Is he in the game?
Wow.
Don't judge me. Don't judge
It's a pretty
me.
far cry.
Hey,
anyway.
don't judge me. That concert was
The one she
awesome.
liked.
That concert was awesome.
Anyway, why are you intrigued by it? I'm curious.
Yeah, I really like. I think what you implied to is the ults, the abilities outside of the weapons. I think it's intriguing. I think it opens up more opportunities for mechanics to just be better than your opponents. I like it.
You know what's going to surprise a lot of people? I've actually just realised in this moment. I was sort of against the premise of Valorant. I don't think it looked terrible from the videos. Plus, I don't really see what the overlap.
The videos do make it look bad.
But I've actually come around. I've realised Valorant is a good thing because everyone who's on the fence or dreams of something more that CS isn't, or thinks, oh, it's my chance to make it. Good. This is the game for you. Get the fuck out. We're going to stay in CS. Going to make it awesome. None of the plebs, none of the idiots, all the crap semi-pro players from NA going apparently. We'll just have a wicked game without them. Brilliant.
That's
Hell yeah.
Keep all the money though. Can we please have all the VC
Yeah.
still? Definitely don't want to go back to 2012.
I mean, the way I look at it, though, is that I don't really see it affecting CSGO esports because the more people that are brought into the tactical shooter genre, really, if you can understand Valorant with all the different abilities that it has, then watching Counter-Strike should be super easy from an esports perspective because you're just dealing with a game that doesn't have any of the abilities that need to be explained to you. So the same principles of entertainment apply. So if anything, even if people don't play Counter-Strike, I would expect more people as a result of Valorant to potentially be watching Counter-Strike esports.
I think that was a trend that was going on in India for a while, where people were playing PUBG Mobile, and then as they get better and better and better at it, they actually sort of almost like fall over into Counter-Strike because they realize, oh, actually, you know, there's maybe a higher ceiling here that I could be, and so I think it's entirely possible that one game could end up. I mean, don't know if that's actually going to happen. There's something that I don't know. I don't know about how Riot is going to end up doing this, but I remember this was perhaps my biggest concern with Overwatch was, you know, how are Blizzard as a company going to react if enough people start complaining about the characters that have a really high skill ceiling, like McCree in the beginning of Overwatch, right? With the pistol headshots. And I wonder if Riot is sort of mentally prepared for that. What's going to happen if there is one unit or one weapon or whatever that's going to be? I don't know how this works.
Got some good news for you, Anders. Riot's general approach is whatever is newly released is always OP as well.
Yes.
And that's actually their business
They like to
model.
sell
That's
things
good
because
sell.
it's a free-to-play game.
I actually don't think that'll be an issue in that sense.
Okay, well, I mean, the thing that I don't want to do is to overreact, right? Like, is to say, oh, if 100,000 people are complaining on Twitter, then we'll have to, lower the skill ceiling so that no one feels alienated. I just think that when it comes to competitive, game development, doesn't make any sense. Like, if you do that, you're actually just killing the longevity of the game.
I actually have a similar thing with the gameplay mechanic that I've always hated in most games. I hated it in Overwatch, and I hated it in League of Legends, although I understand why it's in League of Legends. I don't think it'll be a problem necessarily in Valorant, but I guess it could be. I hate it in like Overwatch and League of Legends. I hate watching games where there's someone who's like always designated as support that has like a 0% chance of winning a fight against the carry. I despise that in a competitive game. So
that's surely not going to be the case, though. Because
I don't think it will be. It's just the abilities. But I mean, I would be worried if there are like they haven't announced characters that have
healing character or whatever. But even
if it's a purely supportive ability, I just don't like that feeling that there's one player who just can't ever win a situation for their team.
I don't mind that, but like I'm an NFL fan who doesn't mind that the quarterback has like an outsized effect on a game, and it's just like it's an acceptance that position just has more of an impact, and like that's going to be the star player. So that doesn't super bother me.
It's more a gamer problem if you think about it, because almost every sport has like either star players or even literal attacking positions and defensive positions. So it's actually more of a gamer thing. The real reason why we don't want that to exist is everyone wants to be the carry. Everyone wants to have fun in that regard.
Also, it's one of the most epic moments in Counter-Strike when someone wins like a 1 versus 3.
Sure.
It's like, that's
it doesn't seem like that's really in danger. My biggest fear is like when I look at these characters' abilities, and again, I think that the videos have done a very poor job of showing this, but it's like I don't want to see all this ability spam, and honestly, it scares the shit out of me when I see this new like operator, whatever they're called, agent that they've released, and it's like, oh, Mei Wall from Overwatch and also a res, like that starts scaring me because they show in these 15 seconds clips, they're like, let's show off the abilities, but the idea is you won't have all of these abilities at the same time.
Well,
but any res in FPS, I hate it.
I'd be worried that, because the problem with having abilities like that go beyond like a certain level, let's say, I mean, we can just think of, again, people have been pointing this out, flashbangs and smokes could be thought of as abilities. They're just in Counter-Strike. I think that's a fair enough way to try and just change your mind on it, but the problem is if they have too much weight, then the game gets centered around that. Like the perfect example for anyone who's has played long enough to remember Team Fortress 2 competitively was just centered around the Uber charge forever and ever, because that as an ability is so core that you end up playing to try and get the Uber charge first and then use it after you force the other team to use it, which maybe that's fine as a metagame for a little while in Team Fortress 2, but when it keeps going, no one wants to see that. It's just about that.
I feel fucking crazy for even saying this out loud on a live broadcast, but I actually don't.
It's not even going to be as good as that build-up.
No, it's not. It's not. It's going to be a huge.
I'm in love with you. Like, where are we going with this? Come on.
No, but I actually don't even mind if there's a res mechanic in Valorant. But because it would be such a cool talking point if you could only do it like once per half. To be like having to wait for the right moment, because imagine like you're down so much and you're forced to use it, and that's a talking point. Or if you're saving it to try and use it at a critical moment and you just can't afford to save it as long as you'd like. I know the feeling that you have right now, because
no, but
on some level I agree with you.
I will admit that
I think there is a cool talking point.
I have been scarred by Mercy in Overwatch, so I will admit that I could be wrong.
Yeah, a reason no one's thought.
It's too soon for Monty. It's too soon.
I got flashbacks.
Here's one fact that no one has thought of as to why I also don't actually think the core like overlap will be with Counter-Strike. It will be most obviously to me with games like Overwatch, which is another thing that I think is core to Counter-Strike, which goes away in this game because you have these different characters. Is in Counter-Strike, no matter even if you're a terrorist CT, every character is functionally the same. It's just the access to weapons that's different. Like everyone has 100 health, everyone can get 100 armor, nobody's faster as a model, etc. So one of the good things about that is that's one of the reasons I also think why for any fan who watches, it's really intuitive to see how good what someone did is. Whereas I can tell you, not just from Overwatch, but more importantly from one of my own games, Quake Champions, that was a difference they made in that game. In past versions of Quake,
that was rough.
You were always just the same person. You had a different skin, but it was the same character. Because in Quake Champions, every champion moves different and has different abilities and different ult. It actually makes it super difficult to intuitively get a sense of like who should be winning in this fight or who should have got it. Like that stuff like that isn't as simple across the board. So it's a different viewing experience. So I see that as going more towards the Overwatch side of things, you know.
Agreed. Well, that was a great Counter-Strike post-show we did that was all about Valorant and TF2 and Overwatch. But I enjoyed our
dig measuring.
And dig measuring. I enjoyed our esports general podcast that we just did. I thought it was fun to chat about all these things.
We should do that more.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, maybe a good idea. Anyway, thank you guys for joining us. We will see you tomorrow for some more actual Counter-Strike and not other games.